Okay, here we are, parked diagonally near to Shirley Test Centre car park in a one-way road. It is legitimate to reverse back just far enough to be able to then drive forwards down the one-way road. So I'm checking all around. Visibility is very poor over to the left. Sorry, over to the right-hand shoulder where I'm looking now. I'm looking at shop window frontages to see if there's any reflected lights of vehicles approaching. Nothing coming at the moment. Glancing around, make sure that there's nothing from any other direction, pedestrians included. A couple of guys standing smoking in a shop doorway. Now that we've gone back about a car length, I've got space to move forward, checking all the mirrors before doing so. And right in front, pardon me, we've got a double broken white give way line. So I need to give way to any traffic coming out the car park on the left. I also need to check over my shoulder to the right, above the hedges, to make sure there's no cars coming in to use the petrol station. And then I turn around to face the main road, and I can check my mirrors and put a signal on. Test routes that don't loop around the back of the shops, of which the test centre building is a part, would come this way. And you may go straight down this road to the first roundabout and be asked to do a U-turn to go around and come back in the same direction, which is what I'm going to do. So in readiness for that, I'm going to check my mirrors and see if I can get across to lane number 2. Little red car slowing down, silver car coming up fast behind. Put my signal on. I will now start to edge out towards the right hand side of my lane, see if the grey car is going to let me out. Looks like he's holding back, so I'll continue creeping forwards. Give a raised hand thank you to the guy behind. Checking mirrors again, another thank you. And I take up my position in lane number 2. Heading down towards the first roundabout, checking my centre mirror to see if anybody's very close behind before I have a visual sweep of that pedestrian crossing with the green lights. Checking centre and right mirror, putting a right signal on. Coming down to gear 2. Looking to the right, nothing's coming around, keeping my speed on, still doing about 13. Hugging the inside of the roundabout. Looking above my door mirror, cancelling the right signal, checking centre and left mirror, putting a left signal on, keeping it in lane 2 to leave the roundabout, just until I know how rapidly the car in lane 1 is going to build up speed. Looks like he's coming alongside me now. Building my speed up, getting through the junction, up into gear 3, looking for opportunity to come back into lane 1. There isn't one yet. The Mercedes that's a little distance behind this white Skoda isn't leaving enough of a gap. He's hanging about in my blind spot more or less. So I'll reduce my speed to let him come past if that's what he wants to do. I'm going to put a left signal on. He's not coming past much at the moment. Now that I know it's safe, with a shoulder glance, come across to lane 1. Go ahead at this roundabout, which is at the end of Union Road, looking to the right. Both those vehicles are leaving the roundabout, so I can stay on, keeping my speed low in gear 2 so that I can hold my position in my lane. There's quite a lot of steering to be done. It gives me enough time to do my mirrors and signal to come off the roundabout. And now building the speed up into gear 3. Once again, checking centre mirror on, identifying a place where a hazard is likely to develop, such as a pedestrian crossing where pedestrians are being encouraged to cross the road rather than floating about wherever they choose. Watching out for the cyclist on the pavement on the left. Looking out for any animals that aren't on leads as well. And then we're back into the shopping area where you may have more pedestrians crossing the road. Planning to keep my vehicle in motion as much of the time as possible, so reading the brake signals on not just the car in front but 3 or 4 cars in front. I'm down in single figures for speed now, about 5 miles an hour, so it's definitely gear 1 territory. Once I'm up to double figures, then into gear 2, easing off the gas again, covering the brake, looking at the brake signal on the blue car that's in front of the black one right in front of me. Gently building the speed up, making sure that I can see far enough ahead that I can clear the junction before I actually move on to it, in case the lights change and I end up blocking a junction. Looking for an opportunity to come out into lane 2 because we seem to have a lot of standing traffic in lane 1. Now I've got a gap. disadvantage of being out in lane 2 is that you may have traffic that wants to turn off this road towards the right, which could of course block me and mean that I can make less progress than if I'd stayed in lane 1. But I can see there's an ambulance in lane 1, and obviously the bus stops are on the left hand side of the road, so if there are any buses ahead, they may be holding up the traffic in that lane. Put my handbrake on because I can't see any signs of anything moving forwards ahead, and a pause has become a wait. It saves fuel and it saves the quality of the air we all breathe. Now the ambulance in the distance has started moving forward, and the breakdown truck in front of the Range Rover in front has started moving forward, so I glance in my door mirrors just as I drop the handbrake to make sure that nobody is filtering through, motorbikes and bicycles or even pedestrians. Even at this low speed, it's worth checking the centre mirror. Helps me know how rapidly I might come on to the foot brake and how softly, so that I'm giving plenty of warning with showing a brake signal before I actually lose speed. Checking the door mirrors again, make sure nobody's running in from the sides. There's a car in front that's wanting to turn right. Don't know whether the oncoming traffic has left a gap for it to do so. Looks like it. It's moving out the way now, so I can keep progressing in lane 2. Slowing down, covering the brake for this grey car. Still covering the brake, applying the brake, and clutch down. Into gear 1. Still managed to not have the car come to a complete stop, which is much more fuel efficient and easier for people to read what your intentions are. Excuse me. Get more pedestrian crossing lights. Centre mirror again. Slowing, bringing the car to a stop. Applying the handbrake because I've got pedestrians in the road in front of me. I don't want to get shunted into them. You can see this is a toucan crossing because there is a green bicycle and red bicycle symbol alongside the green and red pedestrian symbols. There's the red bicycle and red pedestrian light come on. Then we get a red and amber together on a toucan and puffin type of crossing, and for that matter a Pegasus crossing, which is the one designed for horse riders, so that they don't have to get off and press the button. They've got high mounted buttons so that they can stay on horseback. Very uncommon, but you do get them in the centre of large cities as well. Looks like we've hit all the red lights today. And you can see a sign now, an information board underneath that large tree on the left for what looks like a roundabout. This road feature isn't particularly roundabout-like once you get onto it. This crossing is a pelican because you've got the flashing amber. And we're going to go to the right towards Alton and Solihull town centre, so we've got the correct lane here. It's the most efficient one, the one that requires us to travel the least distance to get where we want to go. Looking out for the yellow box junction on the road surface in front. Looks like I've got enough space to be able to clear that and get up behind this black taxi. And on the traffic lamp head for the red traffic light that's over to the right there, you'll see that there's a no right turn symbol. That doesn't mean that we can't turn right at the roundabout. It just means that because the priorities are different from a normal roundabout due to the traffic lights, we can't go immediately right here. That's only for traffic coming clockwise around this roundabouty thing. Now I'll put my signal on, keeping off the hatch markings, but tucking my car in behind this black one into the rightmost lane. I actually want to come off at the next exit, so I'm checking my mirrors, putting a left signal on, changing lanes to come off into this single lane exit and moving away from the junction. I'll turn around here. Here's a road I've never been down. The narrowness of it shows you why. Looks like there's some turning space at the end. In fact, it looks like a turning circle at the end rather than just a stub. So clutch all the way down into gear 1, keep it tucked into the left hand side near the curb, and then looking over my shoulder and also out through my window, the driver's window, so that I know what I might be coming up to with my car rather than looking directly in front. and I can loop all the way around. Most efficient way of doing it, rather than stopping the car and changing the direction of the car. And I'll end that recording there.